The worst part about catching your fiancé cheating isn't the shock. It's the way your brain tries to rationalize it in those first few seconds. Like maybe you're hallucinating from jet lag, or maybe there's a perfectly reasonable explanation for why another woman is in your bed. I'm Kylie, and this is how my perfect life imploded on a random Tuesday afternoon. I just landed early from New York, cutting my business trip short to surprise Julio. After 3 weeks apart, I couldn't wait another day. The promotion at Craig & Associates was in the bag, the ring was on my finger, and I was ready to start planning our future. The doorman winked as I walked into our building. "Welcome home, Miss Kylie. Mr. Julio will be happy to see you." If only he knew. The elevator ride to the 7th floor felt endless. I'd picked up Julio's favourite pastries from that little shop around the corner. Stupid, really. Like some flaky croissants could make our reunion more special. I heard the moaning before I even got the key in the lock. My hand froze. The paper bag crinkled loudly in my grip. Maybe he was watching porn. Working from home had its perks after all. I almost laughed at myself for being paranoid. Then I heard a woman's voice. God, yes, right there. The key slipped into the lock. My body moved on autopilot, pushing the door open slowly, silently. The pastry bag dropped to the floor. Our apartment wasn't huge, but the bedroom door was directly visible from the entrance, wide open, like they wanted to get caught. Julio was on top of her, his back to me. She had her legs wrapped around him, designer heels still on. Long blonde hair splayed across my pillowcase. My pillowcase. I must have made a sound because suddenly they both looked up. The woman shrieked and pulled the sheet up. Julio scrambled backward, nearly falling off the bed. "Kylie, you're early." His voice cracked. "I thought you weren't due back until Friday." I said nothing. My phone was already in my hand, camera app open. Click. The look of horror on their faces was almost comical. "Delete that!" the woman screamed, reaching for her clothes scattered across my bedroom floor. That's when I saw it. The handbag. Cream-coloured leather with a distinctive gold crest I'd seen in countless marketing presentations. The Craig family crest. "You were gone too long," Julio stammered, reaching for his boxers. "I was lonely and things just happened." I finally found my voice. "Things just happened? With Samantha Craig?" The blonde froze mid-dress. "You know who I am?" "I start working for your father on Monday." My voice was eerily calm. "I'm the new marketing strategy director he's been raving about." Samantha's face went from flushed to pale. "Daddy hired you." "Kylie, baby, please." Julio stepped towards me, hands raised like he was approaching a wild animal. "We can talk about this. It didn't mean anything." I held up my hand, stopping him in his tracks. "Don't." "But our engagement..." I slipped the ring off my finger and placed it on the console table by the door. The small diamond caught the afternoon light, sparkling mockingly. "Kylie, wait!" Julio called after me as I turned to leave. "Where are you going?" I paused in the doorway, not bothering to look back. "To call your mother. She always said I was too good for you." Guess she was right. The last thing I heard was Samantha's panicked voice. "Oh my God, my father can't know about this. He'll kill me." I walked to the elevator, pressed the button, and waited calmly. Inside, an elderly neighbour smiled at me. "Lovely day, isn't it?" I nodded, watching the numbers tick down. 7, 6, 5. It wasn't until I reached the lobby that I realised I was shaking. Not from sadness or shock, but from something darker. Something that felt dangerously like purpose. I pulled out my phone and opened my contacts. "Tegan?" "Yeah, I'm back early." "No, don't be happy. Listen, I need you to come over. And bring wine. Lots of wine. I just caught Julio in bed with my new boss's daughter. I stepped out onto the London street, the spring air suddenly feeling colder. And Tegan, bring your laptop. We have some planning to do. Monday morning arrived with the subtlety of a sledgehammer. I walked into Craig and Associates' gleaming glass headquarters, wearing my sharpest black suit and red lipstick like war paint. Morning, chirped the receptionist. You must be Kylie. Mr. Craig is expecting you. The elevator opened directly into the executive floor. Killian Craig stood waiting, imposing in a tailored grey suit that probably cost more than my monthly rent. Kylie, he extended his hand. Welcome aboard. I trust you had a good weekend. I matched his firm handshake. Very enlightening, sir. He led me through the office, introducing me to a blur of faces. I nodded, smiled, and filed away names for later. The tour ended at my new corner office, with floor-to-ceiling windows overlooking the Thames. The team's excited to have you, Killian said, especially my daughter Samantha. She's in marketing too, though. He paused, frowning slightly. She seems to have called in sick today. How unfortunate, I replied, keeping my face neutral. I look forward to meeting her. A sharp-eyed woman in her 40s appeared in my doorway. Killian, your 9 o'clock is waiting. Ah, Kylie, this is Greta from HR. She'll help you get settled. He checked his Rolex. Team meeting at 11. Don't be late. Once he left, Greta perched on my desk. So, you're the American hotshot everyone's been talking about. Half American, I corrected. Moved here when I was 12. She studied me. Word of advice, watch your back around here. Office politics can be brutal. I was about to respond when my phone buzzed. Julio, again. 27 missed calls since Saturday. Boyfriend trouble? Greta asked, eyeing my phone. Ex-fiancé. Ancient history. She raised an eyebrow, but didn't push. The morning passed in a whirlwind of paperwork and introductions. At 10:45, I slipped away to the bathroom to touch up my lipstick. The door swung open behind me. You absolute bitch! Samantha Craig stood there, mascara slightly smudged, looking less polished than she had in my bedroom. Good morning to you too, I said, capping my lipstick. Feeling better? She grabbed my arm. Listen carefully. If you breathe a word about Saturday to anyone, especially my father... You're what? I turned to face her. Sleep with my fiancé again. He came on to me, she hissed. I didn't even know he was engaged. The ring on his finger must have been really subtle. A toilet flushed and a young guy in IT gear emerged from the men's room next door. He glanced between us awkwardly before scurrying away. You don't know who you're messing with, Samantha spat. Actually, I do. Samantha Craig, 24, graduated from Oxford with barely passing grades, hired directly into marketing, despite zero experience. How am I doing so far? She released my arm like it burned her. You've done your homework. I always do. I checked my watch. Team meeting in 10. Don't be late. I walked out, but not before hearing her punch the bathroom wall. The meeting room was already full when I arrived. I took a seat near Killian, pulling out my presentation materials. Samantha slunk in moments later, taking a spot as far from me as possible. Before we begin, Killian stood, I'd like to address some disturbing information that came to my attention this morning. My pulse quickened. On my desk that morning, I'd left an unmarked envelope containing one photo and a post-it note. Like father? Like daughter? Samantha's face went white. It seems, Killian continued, there have been some irregularities in our influencer marketing budget. The room collectively held its breath. Samantha, my office. Now. His voice could have frozen hell. Everyone else, Kylie will lead the strategy presentation. As they left, Samantha shot me a look of pure venom. I smiled back sweetly. My phone vibrated again. A voice message from Samantha. "You don't know who you're messing with. This isn't over." I deleted it without listening. She was right about one thing. This wasn't over. Not by a long shot. The IT guy from earlier caught my eye across the room and gave me a knowing look. His nameplate read Boston. I had a feeling I'd just found my first ally. Standing up to present, I felt electric, powerful. This wasn't just about revenge anymore. This was about taking everything they had and making it mine. "Let's talk about the future of influencer marketing," I began, my voice strong and clear, "and why everything you think you know about it is wrong." "You're playing with fire," Tegan said, pouring more wine into my glass. "And you're enjoying it way too much." We were sprawled across my new apartment's living room floor, takeout containers scattered around us. After catching Julio, I'd moved out that same day, finding a furnished short-term rental within hours. "You should have seen Samantha's face when her father called her in," I grinned. "Priceless." "And you're sure the photo won't come back to bite you?" Before I could answer, my phone buzzed. Boston from IT. "Hey," his voice was low. "You free to talk?" 20 minutes later, I was back at the office, following Boston through the dim hallways to his basement workspace. Screens covered one wall, lines of code scrolling endlessly. "So," he swiveled in his chair, "want to tell me why Samantha Craig's been trying to delete her entire digital footprint?" I raised an eyebrow. "You've been watching her?" "I watch everyone, it's literally my job." He pulled up a window. "But she's been sloppy, left traces everywhere." Like these. The screen showed dozens of invoices, all for influencer partnerships, all with inflated numbers. "She's been skimming," I breathed. "How much?" "Nearly £500,000 over the past year." He clicked through more documents. "But that's not the interesting part. Look who signed off on these." The signature at the bottom made my heart skip. Julio Ford. "Son of a bitch," I muttered. He was in on it." "Gets better," Boston typed rapidly. "These invoices, they're forgeries." "Good ones, but definitely fake. Your ex was helping her cook the books." The pieces clicked into place. "That's why he was so desperate to keep me away from this job. He knew I'd find out." "Bingo." Boston leaned back. "Question is, what are you going to do about it?" I thought for a moment. "Can you get me copies of everything?" "Already done." He handed me a USB drive. "Just be careful how you use this. I like my job." The next morning, I casually dropped the drive on Greta's desk. "What's this?" she asked, not touching it. "Just some interesting financial data I thought HR should review. Anonymously, of course." She smiled knowingly. "Of course." By lunch, the office was buzzing. Samantha hadn't shown up for work. Julio's consulting contract was mysteriously terminated, and Killian Craig requested a private meeting with me. His office was all steel and glass, with a view that made mine look like a basement window. "Impressive work last week," he said, gesturing for me to sit. "The team's responding well to your leadership." "Thank you, sir. Please, call me Killian." He studied me over steepled fingers. "I have a dinner meeting tonight. Join me?" Warning bells rang in my head. "I'd be honoured." "Excellent. My driver will pick you up at 7. As I turned to leave, he added, "Oh, and Kylie, wear something nice." Back at my desk, I found a post-it note stuck to my monitor. "Watch your back." G. My phone buzzed with a text from Julio. "I still love you. Please, call me. I can explain everything." Below it was a photo of an engagement ring, bigger than the one I'd returned. Delete, I muttered, hitting the button with perhaps too much force. Talking to yourself? Boston appeared, carrying a stack of files. Bad sign. Just dealing with ghosts. I nodded at the files. More dirt? Maybe. He glanced around before continuing quietly. Ever wonder why Killian hired you specifically? My stellar resume? Try again. Look into his wife, Charlotte. You might find some interesting connections. Before I could ask more, Greta appeared. Kylie, dear, a word? In her office, she closed the door carefully. You've made quite an impression this week. I aim to please. Cut the act. She leaned forward. I know what you're doing. And while I admire your style, remember, those who live by the sword die by it. Get promoted, she smiled. Just make sure you're on the right side when the dust settles. Walking home that evening, I felt eyes on me. Turning, I caught a glimpse of a sleek black car following slowly. My phone buzzed again. Unknown number. Dinner tonight will be interesting, Charlotte Craig's smooth voice purred. Do wear that lovely red lipstick. It suits you. I stopped walking. How did she... Another text arrived. And, darling, don't think for a moment that you're the only one playing chess here. Looking up at the darkening London sky, I realised I might have just stepped into something much bigger than revenge. The restaurant screamed old money, all dark wood and crystal chandeliers. Killian's driver had delivered me to a private entrance, where a hostess whisked me straight to a secluded booth. Killian stood as I approached. Stunning, he said, eyeing my black cocktail dress. I'd barely settled when a third person slid into our booth. Charlotte Craig, elegant in emerald silk, her blonde hair perfectly styled, so like her daughter's. Hope you don't mind me crashing, she smiled all teeth. I so rarely get to meet my husband's protégés. Killian's jaw tightened. I wasn't expecting you. Clearly, she signalled for wine. But when I heard you were dining with the fascinating Kylie, I couldn't resist. The waiter poured 3 glasses of red. I took a careful sip, watching them over the rim. So, Charlotte turned to me, tell me about New York. I heard you cut your trip short. My hand froze mid-reach for the bread basket. News travels fast. Everything travels fast in our circles, dear. She touched my arm. Her nails were perfect daggers. Especially news about broken engagements. Charlotte, Killian warned. What? I'm simply making conversation. She tilted her head. Though I must say, Julio's new ring choice is ambitious. Have you seen it? My phone buzzed in my clutch as if on cue. I ignored it. I was hoping, Killian cut in, to discuss the marketing restructure. Of course you were, Charlotte purred. Always business with you, even when our daughter... That's enough. His voice could have cut steel. I cleared my throat. Actually, I have some thoughts about restructuring, particularly regarding oversight of the influencer program. Charlotte's eyes glittered. Fascinating timing, considering recent irregularities. I have noticed some concerning patterns, I said carefully. Nothing that can't be fixed with proper management. And you're just the person to fix them. Charlotte sipped her wine. How convenient. The waiter arrived with our entrees. I'd ordered salmon, but suddenly wasn't hungry. Tell me, Kylie, Killian leaned forward, how would you handle the situation? Remove the weak links, I said. Start fresh. Build something stronger. Sounds rather like a hostile takeover, Charlotte mused. Sometimes hostility is necessary for growth. Killian nodded slowly. And Samantha's role in this new structure? Minimal, I met his gaze. Or non-existent. Charlotte's laugh was musical. My, you don't waste time, do you? Time is money, I quoted. Isn't that what you always say, Killian? He smiled for the first time that evening. I'm starting to see why they recommended you so highly. They? I asked. Charlotte's phone chimed. She checked it, then stood abruptly. Well, this has been delightful, but I have a prior engagement. Kylie, dear, a word before I go? In the ladies' room, Charlotte reapplied her lipstick while I washed my hands. You think you're so clever, she said to my reflection. But you have no idea what you've walked into. Enlighten me. Let's just say Samantha isn't the only one with secrets. She turned to face me. And Julio? He was never the real target, was he? Before I could respond, my phone buzzed again. A text from Boston. 911. Check your email now. Excuse me, I said, stepping into a stall. The email contained a single document. Financial records for a charity foundation bearing the Craig name. Defunct now, but the transactions. Oh my God, I whispered. When I emerged, Charlotte was gone. Back at the table, Killian was signing the check. Everything all right? He asked. You look pale. Fine, I lied, just tired. Let my driver take you home. In the car, another text arrived. Julio. Please, I need to explain. Meet me tomorrow? Below it was a photo, not of a ring this time, but of me. Entering Craig and Associates. From 3 months ago, before I'd even gotten the job. My doorman helped me out of the car. Package came for you, Miss Kylie. The manila envelope was unmarked. Inside were more financial records, photos, and a handwritten note. Want to know why they really hired you? Ask about the Paris incident. C. But C for who? Charlotte? Or was someone else pulling strings? My phone buzzed one final time. Samantha. Daddy may be impressed with you now, but wait until he learns what you did to get here. I sank onto my couch, mind racing. What had I done? More importantly, what had been done to me? The game was bigger than I'd imagined, and I was no longer sure if I was the player or the piece. The Paris incident was a cover-up, Boston explained, his fingers flying over the keyboard. We were in his basement office again, surrounded by the hum of servers. 3 years ago, Killian's charity foundation supposedly built schools in developing countries. Let me guess. The schools don't exist? Oh, they exist. He pulled up satellite images. They're just not schools anymore, more like private compounds, and the money trail leads to some interesting places. I leaned closer to the screen. Offshore accounts. Worse, arms dealers. He lowered his voice. Killian was using the charity to launder money for weapons trafficking. My stomach lurched. And Charlotte knows? Charlotte knows everything. He handed me a USB drive. Including why you were really hired. Before I could ask more, the door opened. Greta stood there looking grim. HR meeting. Now. In her office, she closed the blinds. Someone filed a complaint about your conduct. Let me guess. Samantha? Anonymous. She slid a paper across her desk. They're claiming you used blackmail to secure your position. I laughed. That's ridiculous. Is it? She raised an eyebrow. Because there's also evidence you knew about the influencer fraud before you started working here. My laughter died. What? Emails. Between you and Julio, dating back 6 months. That's impossible. I never... The door burst open. Samantha stormed in, mascara streaked down her face. You psychotic bitch! She lunged for me. I jumped back, but not before she managed to slap me hard across the face. He loved me, she screamed. He loved me first. You were just convenient. Samantha! Greta shouted, Security is on their way. Tell her, Samantha jabbed a finger at me. Tell her how you and Julio planned this whole thing, how you used me to get to Daddy. My cheek stung, but my voice remained steady. You're delusional. Am I? She pulled out her phone. These emails say different. You and Julio plotting for months, using me to expose Daddy's secrets. Those emails are fake. Really? She scrolled through her phone. Here's one from March. Once you're inside Craig and Associates, we can finally take him down. Your email address. Your words. Security arrived, escorting a still screaming Samantha out. My head was spinning. I need air, I muttered to Greta. In the bathroom, I splashed cold water on my face. The door opened behind me. Quite a show, Charlotte said, checking her makeup in the mirror. Though I preferred the dinner performance. Did you do this? Me? She looked wounded. I'm just an interested observer, like you were supposed to be. What's that supposed to mean? She handed me an envelope. Your real employment contract, the one you signed in Paris last year. My hand shook as I opened it. There, in black and white, was my signature on a document I had no memory of signing. You were hired to watch, Charlotte explained. To report on Killian's activities, to be our eyes inside. Instead, you went rogue. Our eyes? Who's our? She smiled. Let's just say certain government agencies take weapons trafficking very seriously. My phone buzzed. Boston. Don't trust anyone. Delete everything. Meet me in 10. You know, Charlotte continued, Samantha's not wrong. You did use her, just not the way she thinks. I never... Save it. She checked her watch. You have a choice to make. Help us take Killian down properly, or go down with him. I pushed past her, heading for the door. Oh, and Kylie, she called after me. That slap will leave a mark. You might want to cover it before the board meeting this afternoon. In the hallway, I nearly collided with Julio. Kylie, please, he grabbed my arm. You have to listen. Let go of me. It's not what you think. I was trying to protect you. By sleeping with Samantha? By keeping you away from all this. He lowered his voice. These people are dangerous. The weapons, the money laundering, all of it. I was undercover too. My world tilted sideways. Two? Before he could answer, my phone buzzed again. Boston. They're coming for the servers. Run! I yanked my arm free and ran for the stairs. Behind me, I heard Julio call out, You can't trust anyone, not even yourself. For the first time since this started, I felt real fear. Because deep down, I was beginning to suspect he was right. The stairwell door slammed behind me as I raced down to the basement. Boston was already wiping his computers when I burst in. They're deleting everything, he said, typing frantically. Someone's accessing the mainframe remotely. Can you stop it? Already did. He pulled a hard drive from his desk. Everything's backed up here, but we need to... The lights went out. Emergency bulbs cast an eerie red glow across the room. Security protocol, Boston whispered. They're locking down the building. My phone buzzed. Killian. My office. Now. Don't go. Boston grabbed my arm. It's a trap. If I don't, I'm guilty. I took the hard drive from him. Get out while you can. The executive floor was deserted when I stepped out of the stairwell. Killian's office door stood open, light spilling into the darkness. He sat behind his desk, looking older than I'd ever seen him. Close the door. I did. Nice theatrics with the lockdown. Necessary precautions. He gestured to a chair. We need to talk about Paris. Funny, I don't remember Paris. No, he smiled tiredly. You wouldn't. The drugs they used are quite effective. My blood ran cold. They? MI6, CIA, take your pick. He opened a drawer. They've been watching me for years. Needed someone on the inside. He placed a photo on the desk. Someone like you. The photo showed me in a Paris cafe, talking to a man in a suit. I had no memory of it. Your father worked for them, Killian continued. Before his accident, they thought you'd follow in his footsteps. My father died in a car crash. Did he? Killian pressed a button on his phone. Charlotte, join us, please. The door opened, but it wasn't Charlotte who entered. Hello, sweetheart, my father said. I gripped the chair to stay upright. You're dead. Witness protection, he explained, looking exactly as I remembered, just older. They needed me to disappear, to protect you. While you what? Spied on weapons dealers? While I tracked the people who tried to kill me. He moved closer. The same people who recruited you without your knowledge. My phone buzzed again. Boston. Don't believe anything. Check the drive. I have a proposition, Killian said. Help me expose the agencies that have been manipulating us all. In return, you get the truth. About everything. Including Samantha? Julio? Especially them. He smiled grimly. Did you really think their affair was accidental? The door burst open again. Greta rushed in, breathless. They're here. Government cars out front. Killian stood. Time to choose, Kylie. Stay and learn the truth, or run and keep believing their lies. My father held out his hand. Trust me, sweetheart. Please. I reached into my pocket, feeling the hard drive. Show me proof. Real proof. Killian opened his laptop. Everything's here. As he turned the screen, I plugged in Boston's drive. A program started running instantly. No! Killian lunged for the laptop, but it was too late. Alarms blared. On the screen, files began uploading to an external server. What have you done? My father demanded. The truth? I backed toward the door. I remember Paris, all of it, because it never happened. Those photos are fake, just like you. The man wearing my father's face smiled coldly. Clever girl. The real proof is on that drive, I said. Every illegal transaction, every weapons deal, every fake charity uploading to Interpol right now. Killian's face contorted. Security! Won't come, I said. Boston locked them out, just like he locked you in. The office doors slammed shut automatically. Through the glass, I saw armed police swarming the floor. It's over, I told Killian. The real agencies are here, and they have everything. My phone lit up one last time. Julio. I'm sorry. For everything, check your email. The email contained a video confession. Him admitting to working for Killian, to using me, to helping create the fake Paris evidence. You played us, the fake father said, almost admiringly. No, I corrected him. You played yourselves. I just took better notes. Through the glass, I watched as officers approached. Greta was already letting them in, badge in hand. Turned out HR had been federal all along. Killian slumped in his chair. How long have you known? Since that dinner with Charlotte. I smiled. The real Charlotte, who's been dead for 15 years. Nice try with the imposter, though. The doors opened. As they led them away in handcuffs, I felt no satisfaction, only exhaustion. And somewhere in the building, Samantha was screaming. The boardroom fell silent as I walked in. Every executive seat was filled, with government agents lining the walls. Samantha sat slumped in a corner, mascara-stained tissues clutched in her hands. Miss Ward, the lead investigator nodded. Please, begin. I connected my laptop to the projector. For those who haven't been briefed, my name is Kylie, and for the past 3 months, I've been gathering evidence on one of the largest weapons trafficking operations in Europe. Slides appeared on the screen. Bank statements, shell companies, fake charities. It started with a simple fraud investigation, I continued. Inflated influencer payments, missing funds. But the deeper we dug, the bigger it got. Samantha's head snapped up. You used me? No, I met her eyes. Your father used you. Those influencer accounts? They were fronts for arms dealers. Every post you approved laundered money for weapons. That's a lie. Is it? I clicked to the next slide. Here's your signature on transfer documents. Routing millions through Instagram stars who don't exist. The room erupted in whispers. An agent handed out copies of the evidence. But the real genius, I continued, was the charity angle. Building schools that converted to weapon storage, relief supplies hiding military gear, all hidden in plain sight. The boardroom doors opened. They led Killian in, handcuffed. You wanted a presentation on modern marketing. I addressed him directly. Here it is. How to use social media to hide an international crime syndicate. You have no idea what you've done, he growled. Actually, I do. I clicked again. Because while you were busy framing me as a spy, the real intelligence agencies were following your money. All of it. More slides, offshore accounts, weapon shipments, surveillance photos. Daddy, Samantha's voice cracked. Tell them it's not true. Killian said nothing. And let's not forget the supporting players, I continued. Julio Ford, PR consultant and professional honey trap. The fake Charlotte, hired to gaslight me. Even the man pretending to be my dead father. The doors opened again. Julio was escorted in, looking broken. Want to tell them how it worked? I asked him. How you seduced me on Killian's orders. How you were supposed to keep me away from this job. Kylie, please. Or should we talk about Samantha? How you slept with her knowing I'd catch you. Trying to drive me away before I discovered the truth? It wasn't supposed to go this far, he whispered. No, I projected his email confession, because according to this, it went exactly as planned. Until I fought back. Samantha lunged at him. 2 agents held her back. You said you loved me, she screamed. He said that to all his targets, I told her. It was his job. The lead investigator stood. We've seen enough. Take them all into custody. As they led Killian past me, he paused. You think you've won? There are bigger players than me. I know, I smiled. They're being arrested right now. Turns out your little network wasn't as secure as you thought. Samantha struggled against the agents. You ruined everything. No, I said quietly. Your father did that when he decided to use his daughter to launder money for terrorists. The room slowly emptied. Only Greta remained, her federal badge glinting. Impressive work, she said. Ever consider a career change? I think I'm done with undercover work. Shame. She handed me a card. We could use someone with your skills. After she left, I stood alone in the boardroom, staring at my reflection in the darkened windows. 3 months of lies, manipulation, and revenge had led to this moment. My phone buzzed one last time. Boston. Need a drink? I found him in a pub around the corner. He raised a glass as I sat down. To taking down international arms dealers, he grinned. Not bad for an IT guy and a marketing director. You were never just IT, were you? Like, you were never just a revenge-seeking ex? He shrugged. We all have our covers. And now? Now? He ordered another round. Now you're the hero who exposed everything. The promotion's yours if you want it. I thought about Killian's empire crumbling, about Samantha's screams, about Julio's betrayal. What I want, I said, is a vacation. A long one. Fair enough. Boston raised his glass again. 2 normal lives? I clinked my glass against his, but didn't drink. Normal felt overrated now. Besides, Killian was right about one thing. There were bigger players out there, and I was just getting started. The headlines splashed across every major newspaper. Craig and Associates, CEO sentenced in weapons trafficking case. I folded the paper and tossed it into a bin, walking through the familiar London streets toward my final task. The prison visiting room smelled of disinfectant and despair. Samantha sat at the metal table, orange jumpsuit hanging loose on her frame, eyes hollow. "Come to gloat?" she asked as I sat down. "No, I came to give you this." I slid an envelope across the table. She opened it slowly. Inside was a check, her trust fund money, recovered from her father's frozen accounts. "Why?" Her voice cracked. "Because you were a victim too." I leaned forward. "The money's clean. Use it to start over when you get out." "I got 5 years," she whispered. "Daddy got 20. Could have been worse. Your testimony helped." She wiped her eyes. "I keep having nightmares about those weapons. The people they killed, that's not on you. Isn't it?" I signed those papers. I approved those transfers. "You didn't know, but you did." She met my eyes. How long were you investigating us?" "I wasn't, not at first." I sighed. I really did catch Julio cheating by accident. Everything else just unravelled from there. "He writes me, you know, from his cell." She laughed bitterly. "Still swears he loved me. Men like that love only themselves." The guard signalled 5 minutes remaining. "What happens now?" Samantha asked. "To the company? It's being restructured. Clean management, ethical practices. And you?" "I'm leaving. Fresh start." She nodded slowly. "I heard they offered you my father's job." "They did. You should take it." She stood as the guard approached. "Someone needs to fix what we broke." Walking out of the prison, my phone buzzed. Boston's message was simple. "Turn around." He stood by his car, looking exactly the same, except for the government ID hanging from his neck. "Thought you'd want to know," he said as I approached. "Julio's talking. Naming names. Higher-ups? Bigger fish than Killian, people who might want revenge. Let them try." He smiled. "The agency's still interested, if you change your mind." "About that job offer?" I pulled out Greta's card. "Think they'd let me pick my own team?" "Depends. Who do you have in mind?" "An IT genius who's good at uncovering secrets. And maybe a reformed fraudster who knows how criminals think." "Samantha?" He raised an eyebrow. "Bold choice. She knows the players, and she has something to prove." "Like you did?" My phone buzzed again. "Tegan, your flat's been cleared out. Ready when you are." "No," I told Boston. "Like I still do." He opened his car door. "Where to first, boss?" I showed him another headline on my phone. "Mysterious deaths linked to European fashion brands." "More fake charities?" he asked. "No." "Worse. Human trafficking disguised as modelling agencies." I got in the car. "Thought we might take a look." "Just looking? For now?" I smiled, but I kept the red lipstick. As we drove through London, I thought about karma and consequences, about how revenge had led me down a path I never expected, about how sometimes the biggest betrayals can reveal our true purpose. My phone buzzed one final time. An unknown number. "Proud of you, sweetheart." the message read. Your real father would be too. I deleted it without replying. The past was done. The future, however, was just getting interesting. You know, Boston said as we headed toward MI6 headquarters, normal people take vacation after exposing international crime rings. Normal's overrated. I watched London slip by. Besides, someone has to keep the bad guys honest. And that someone is you? I thought about Killian's empire, about Samantha's redemption, about all the other corrupt executives sleeping soundly in their penthouses. No, I said, straightening my jacket. That someone is us. The car turned toward the river, and I felt that familiar electric thrill. There would always be more secrets to uncover, more wrongs to right. And this time, I wasn't just seeking revenge. I was seeking justice.